Special thanks to Thunderbird Perch for making this video possible. For decades, public and scientific discussions about unidentified anomalous phenomena, UAP, have been dominated by two primary explanations. The first and most conventional is that UAPs are phenomena with a prosaic terrestrial origin, such as human-made technology, weather balloons, or drones. The second, a more extraordinary and popular notion, is the extraterrestrial hypothesis, ETH, which suggests that UAPs are spacecraft originating from distant planets or advanced civilizations elsewhere in the cosmos. While these two frameworks have long held the majority of attention, they often fail to account for the most anomalous aspects of UAP encounters. In recent years, a third minority class of theories has gained traction, offering an unconventional terrestrial explanation for these phenomena, the Ultraterrestrial hypothesis, UTH. This hypothesis posits that UAPs are not a result of foreign visitation, but are an indigenous phenomenon, stemming from forms of non-human intelligence, NHI, that have always been present on Earth. This radical departure from the ETH fundamentally reorients the UAP conversation, shifting the focus from space exploration to the unseen dimensions and hidden realms of our own planet. The ultra-terrestrial hypothesis is a broad umbrella term for a range of theories united by the core premise of a native Earth-based intelligence. As described by physicist Hal Puthoff, these beings are sequestered terrestrial cultures existing alongside us in distinct stealth. This report will provide a comprehensive breakdown of the UTH, tracing its conceptual lineage to the work of John A. Keel, a journalist and Fortean investigator who was one of its earliest proponents. The analysis will then differentiate between the key subsets of the UTH, the interdimensional hypothesis, IDH, and the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, CTH, which are often conflated in popular discourse. This report serves as a definitive analysis of the UTH, evaluating its historical roots, its conceptual variations, and its modern manifestations. In particular, it will address and contextualize the Y-Files YouTube video on the subject, a recent example of the UTH's resurgence in popular media. The central thesis of this analysis is that the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis represents a significant conceptual shift in UAP discourse, moving the phenomenon from the domain of physical space travel to a more complex, interwoven reality that blurs the lines between science, folklore, and personal experience. While speculative and lacking conventional scientific evidence, the UTH provides a compelling framework for understanding the anomalous and often consciousness-linked nature of UAP encounters, offering a new lens for examining humanity's relationship with the other. The Y-Files is a prominent example of how complex fringe theories are being repackaged and disseminated to a modern mainstream audience. Created and hosted by AJ Gentile, the channel has amassed a large following through its unique storytelling style. Gentile's professional background as a Hollywood producer, writer, and voiceover artist is central to the channel's success and its highly polished, engaging format. The content is characterized by its encyclopedia-like analysis of conspiracy theories, mysteries, and unexplained phenomena, delivered with a skeptical lens that distinguishes it from more sensationalist content. The video at the center of the user's query, titled The Ultra-Terrestrial Hypothesis, functions as a conceptual primer for the UTH. It draws heavily from the foundational work of John Keel and references a recent academic paper on the crypto-terrestrial hypothesis by Tim Lomas, Brendan Case, and Michael P. Masters. The video's structure mirrors that of a long-form documentary, synthesizing a wide range of sources, from classic UFO literature to modern academic and military reports. It systematically builds a case for the UTH by presenting various elements of the phenomenon, including conventional explanations, the prankster theory of a manipulative intelligence, and the lack of physical evidence. This approach allows the channel to explore highly speculative ideas while maintaining a veneer of intellectual rigor. The skeptical lens often touted by the Y-Files is more accurately understood as a sophisticated narrative device rather than a rigorous application of the scientific method. A true scientific skeptic typically starts with a null hypothesis and actively seeks to falsify a claim through empirical evidence and repeatable experimentation. The video, however, does not follow this protocol. Instead, It uses its skepticism to frame the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis not as a phenomenon to be debunked, but as an intellectual puzzle worthy of serious exploration. The presence of a host with an entertainment background, combined with the channel's consistent focus on unexplained topics, indicates that the primary objective is to foster intellectual curiosity and entertain the audience. The pretense of skepticism grants the audience permission to engage with these speculative ideas without feeling naive or being dismissed as a conspiracy theorist, a crucial function in a cultural landscape that is often wary of such topics. The ultra-terrestrial hypothesis finds its most influential modern articulation in the work of John A. Keel, 1930 to 2009. A journalist and paranormal writer, Keel was a self-described Fortean, a term derived from Charles Fort, 1874 to 1932, who pioneered the collection of anecdotal accounts of unexplained phenomena from newspapers and scientific journals. Keel's early investigations into UAP sightings across the U.S. Midwest, particularly during a wave of encounters in the mid-1960s, ultimately led him to a radical conclusion. After a year of intense fieldwork, he came to believe that the prevailing extraterrestrial hypothesis, ETH, was untenable. His field investigations revealed what he termed an astonishing overlap between psychic phenomena and UFOs, leading him to seek a different conceptual model to explain the data. In an attempt to formulate this new model, Keel coined two terms that have since become foundational to the paranormal lexicon. The first, Men in Black, MIB, was introduced in a 1967 article to describe the mysterious, often sinister figures who allegedly harassed and intimidated UFO witnesses. The second, Ultraterrestrials, was a term he used to describe the UAP occupants themselves. He proposed that these were not biological entities from other planets, but non-human intelligences capable of assuming whatever form they desired, existing in a super spectrum of energy beyond normal human perception. Keel articulated his most cohesive theory in his books UFOs, Operation Trojan Horse, and the Mothman Prophecies. He argued that a non-human or spiritual intelligence source had been staging entire events over a long period of time to propagate and reinforce certain erroneous belief systems. Keel's New Demonology linked a vast range of anomalous phenomena, including historical accounts of monsters, ghosts, demons, poltergeist events, and the ancient fairy faith of Middle Europe, to a single deceptive source. His hypothesis suggested that the phenomenon's form changes over time, from mythological creatures to modern-day aliens, to manipulate human belief systems. The enduring appeal of Keel's work, particularly the Mothman Prophecies, lies in its ability to operate in a liminal space between journalism and creative nonfiction. While presented as a factual account, the work has been subject to significant critique regarding its accuracy. For instance, a Goodreads review describes Keel's writing style as combining reportage with an understated humor and a vivid cinematic approach, likening it to creative nonfiction. The same review also questions the credibility of his unbelievable dialogue and arrogance, suggesting the narrative is as much about the author as the events he describes. This subjective approach becomes more problematic under journalistic scrutiny. An analysis by journalist John C. Sherwood in a 2002 issue of Skeptical Inquirer revealed significant differences between Keel's private letters written during the investigation and his published book. These discrepancies raised serious questions about the book's factual accuracy. This critique is more than a simple attack on one author's credibility. It points to a fundamental methodological issue that plagues much of paranormal literature. The pursuit of a compelling, unified narrative can easily overshadow factual integrity, leading to what one scholar terms a narrative hijacking of real events, where a captivating story about a legendary creature overshadows a historical tragedy, such as the Silver Bridge collapse that claimed 46 people. The term ultra-terrestrial serves as a broad conceptual umbrella for several distinct, though overlapping, hypotheses that share the core premise of a native, Earth-based intelligence. These hypotheses diverge on the precise nature of how these entities are hidden from human perception. The interdimensional hypothesis, a subset of the UTH, proposes that UAPs and their occupants originate from parallel universes, alternate timelines, or non-physical realms that coexist with our own. This theory, championed by figures like Jacques Vallée and incorporated into Keel's later work, provides a logical framework for UAP behaviors that defy conventional physics. The IDH can explain the instantaneous appearance and disappearance of UAPs, their inconsistent radar returns, and their seemingly non-inertial movements, which are inconsistent with known aerospace mechanics. The hypothesis suggests that these entities may be transiting between different levels of reality, or that our perception is limited when confronted with beings from higher spatial dimensions, akin to the Flatland thought experiment. This model also accounts for the non-physical aspects of UAP encounters, such as distortions of time, telepathic communication, and psychological transformations, which align more with a consciousness-linked phenomenon than a nuts-and-bolts spacecraft. The IDH finds a tentative, albeit speculative, connection with emerging theories in theoretical physics that posit multiple dimensions or bubble universes. The IDH finds a tentative, albeit speculative, connection with emerging theories in theoretical physics that posit multiple dimensions or bubble universes. The crypto-terrestrial hypothesis, CTH, is another, more grounded subset of the UTH. It suggests that UAPs are the activities of an intelligent civilization that is physically concealed on Earth, but within our shared space-time dimensions. This distinguishes the CTH from the IDH, as it does not require a revision of fundamental physical laws to accommodate its premise. Proponents of the CTH speculate on a number of plausible hiding spots for this civilization, which might predate humanity. The most frequently cited are the unexplored deep oceans, which cover 70% of the planet's surface and remain over 95% undiscovered. Other potential habitats include vast underground cavern networks like Vietnam's Hang Son Doong, or even living among us through advanced technology or a biological ability to pass as human. The CTH also includes fascinating sub-theories. One suggests that the crypto-terrestrials are an ancient, highly evolved civilization that rose millions of years before humans advanced to a technological zenith and then chose to withdraw from the surface. Another, more radical, is the future humans hypothesis, which posits that UAP occupants are us from the distant future who have mastered time travel. This theory is often supported by the observation that reported beings are ubiquitously described as looking just like us, which proponents argue is highly unlikely for extraterrestrials, but perfectly logical for future humans who have undergone a degree of physical evolution. The recent push to re-legitimize the CTH as a valid subject for scientific inquiry is a significant development. A paper on the subject by researchers Tim Lomas, Brendan Case, and Michael P. Masters, which was featured in the Y-Files video, explicitly states that while the CTH is in all likelihood false, it nevertheless merits scientific investigation in a spirit of epistemic humility and openness. This is a strategic move to bring a fringe concept into the mainstream conversation by framing it in the language of formal research and academia. The growing body of documented UAP data, including reports of unidentified submersible objects, USOs, that defy conventional understanding, is compelling some researchers to consider unconventional explanations that are outside of the conventional terrestrial or extraterrestrial narratives. This approach represents a notable shift from the typical scientific dismissal of the paranormal. John Keel's investigation in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, provides the quintessential case study for the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis. Keel arrived in the area to investigate a wave of UFO sightings, but the narrative shifted when a mysterious winged creature, dubbed Mothman by a newspaper sub-editor, was cited by numerous local witnesses. Keel applied his ultra-terrestrial framework to the phenomenon, linking the creature's appearance to a tragic historical event, the collapse of the Silver Bridge on December 15, 1967, which killed 46 people. Keel's book, The Mothman Prophecies, transformed a local legend into an international phenomenon and cemented the idea that the creature was a harbinger of death, an omen that predicted the disaster. The Men in Black, MIB, are another core element of UTH lore, and the term itself was coined by John Keel. These mysterious figures, who are said to harass or threaten UAP witnesses, are presented as another manifestation of the ultra-terrestrial intelligence. Keel's characterization of these figures, along with the Mothman, highlights a central tenet of his theory, that this intelligence is not only present, but is actively interacting with and manipulating human affairs. A central argument of the UTH-IDH is that UAP encounters are merely a modern manifestation of a phenomenon that has occurred throughout recorded human history, which in prior ages was ascribed to mythological or supernatural creatures. Proponents of the hypothesis draw explicit parallels between modern ultra-terrestrial concepts and figures from ancient folklore. For example, the theory of cryptoterrestrials dwelling in the deep ocean or underground caverns mirrors ancient myths of beings living in hidden realms, such as the Nagas of Hindu mythology, or the Tuatha De Danann of Irish folklore, who are said to have retreated to an other world. Similarly, modern accounts of intelligent, elusive beings who interact with humans sporadically, like the jinn in Islamic tradition or the skinwalkers of Navajo lore, are surprisingly consistent with accounts of UAP encounters and abductions. The UTH suggests that these historical and contemporary accounts may all stem from real, albeit misunderstood, encounters with an indigenous non-human intelligence. The connections between modern UAP phenomena and ancient mythology demonstrate a fundamental human need to explain anomalous experiences through a consistent narrative, adapting the explanation to the cultural context of the time. Charles Fort began the academic process of cataloging these anomalies, and Keel, his intellectual successor, proposed a unified theory. The fact that the same kind of anomalous reports, beings with strange characteristics and phenomena that defy physics, are reinterpreted across centuries as gods, fairies, and now ultraterrestrials, suggests that the phenomenon itself may be a constant, while our cultural priors, or preconceived notions, shift how we interpret it. The UTH is, therefore, not just a theory about aliens. It is a theory about the nature of human perception and belief, which continues to seek a framework to contain the inexplicable. Modern UAP manifestation, corresponding folkloric analog, shared characteristics, unidentified submersible objects, USOs, Nagas, Hindu mythology, dwell in hidden, often subterranean or aquatic realms, possess advanced abilities, shape-shifting craft beings, fairies, jinn, Islamic tradition, elusive, intelligent, and capable of changing form, interact with humans in fleeting ways. Time and memory distortions, ancient mythological realms, the other world, involve a break from conventional reality. Encounters can lead to psychological or spiritual transformations. The Men in Black, MIB, the trickster or demon figure, actively manipulate or deceive humans, often in a sinister way, to reinforce certain belief systems. While Keel's work is celebrated as a cornerstone of modern ufology, it is not without significant documented critiques. A key point of contention is the blurring of fact and fiction in his writing. As noted previously, the analysis by journalist John C. Sherwood revealed significant discrepancies between Keel's private correspondence and his published accounts in the Mothman Prophecies. Sherwood's work, which examined letters between Keel and known UFO hoaxer Gray Barker, questioned the book's accuracy and integrity. This documented methodological flaw highlights the dangers of merging journalistic investigation with the narrative techniques of creative nonfiction, a practice that can prioritize a compelling story over factual reporting. From a conventional scientific perspective, the ultra-terrestrial hypothesis and its subsets are viewed with skepticism. The standard scientific model explains paranormal phenomena as misinterpretations or misunderstandings of natural events. The scientific method requires empirical, reproducible evidence to confirm a hypothesis, a standard that is inherently lacking in UAP and paranormal reports, which are largely based on anecdotal accounts. Fields like parapsychology, which attempt to study such phenomena, have been criticized as pseudoscience for failing to provide convincing evidence after more than a century of research. The UTH, in its current form, relies on phenomena that are, by their very nature, not repeatable or verifiable in a laboratory setting. A core challenge for the UTH is its lack of falsifiability. The very premises of the interdimensional and cryptoterrestrial hypotheses make them difficult, if not impossible, to test using conventional scientific methods. For example, how can one scientifically prove or disprove the existence of a civilization that is incredibly good at it when it comes to remaining hidden, or of entities that are capable of transiting between different levels of reality? Hypotheses that cannot be disproven or tested fall outside the domain of conventional science, residing instead in the realm of speculation and philosophy. The UTH presents a logical yet unprovable narrative for a phenomenon that continues to defy conventional explanation. The ultraterrestrial hypothesis, rooted in the Fortean tradition of John A. Keel, presents a profound and enduring alternative to the conventional extraterrestrial narrative. It shifts the focus from the vastness of outer space to the hidden depths of our own planet and the very fabric of reality itself. By proposing an indigenous, sequestered intelligence, the UTH offers a narrative framework that aligns with the paradoxical nature of UAP reports, their defiance of physical laws, their echoes in human folklore, and their often consciousness-linked characteristics. This conceptual model provides a more comprehensive, albeit speculative, explanation for a phenomenon that the simple nuts and bolts ETH often struggles to contain. The enduring appeal of the UTH lies in its capacity to offer a grand unified theory for the inexplicable, linking modern sightings to ancient myths and suggesting a shared intelligence that has been interacting with humanity throughout history. The recent push for the academic consideration of the CTH reflects a growing public and institutional willingness to explore unconventional explanations for UAPs. This shift signifies a potential reevaluation of our understanding of reality and the limits of the scientific method, as documented UAP data forces a reconsideration of conventional priors. The UTH, in its various forms, challenges us to consider that the most extraordinary secrets of our planet may not be in galaxies far away, but hidden in the depths and dimensions of our own world, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to look beyond conventional explanations. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, like, and share.